Hi lovelies, we meet again with the wooden tarot. Now for the courts, not the courts, oh my god, the suit of swords or suit of plumes in this deck. So as a non-native English speaker, I had no idea the word plumes even existed. I had to look it up, and now I know what the thing even is. And apparently it is another word for a feather, or to be precise, the prominent feather. Also the head gear with the feathers on it is called plumes. I had no idea. Now I know, so it makes more sense too. The prominent feather on the birds as well that use the feathers for attracting. Usually they are the male birds, but also females has them sometimes. But let's just start as I did the majors, and as I explained how to get to know the decks that follow the Rider-Waite system. If the creators has said that they would or will, then let's just compare or try to see the connections to better understanding. So in this suit, in this deck, the swords, yeah, oh my god, in this deck the aces are gods, which is really interesting. And as you can see, they are totally like not human. The hands are here, but they are floating. They are not connected to the body. The body has only the robe, not anything like the human being. As I said earlier, the whole deck has practically no humans. It has no humans in it. It has human skulls and hints to the human activity or the human nature, but all is depicted using the animal parts, the bones, the antlers, and earth creatures, earth creature parts, and the earth, something that the earth has grown. So okay, let's just see the god of plumes or the ace of swords. The air element with the eye, looks like the all-seeing eye in here. The eye is, I want to say, human eye. It calls, for me, it calls us to see, to look. And as the aces are the start of something, start seeing something, start creating, open your eyes. So here it's some kind of foliage on the shoulders of the robe. The robe is brown. Would have maybe seen it as yellow. as the air element, but maybe the brown is making more sense with the color scheme on this deck. So the clouds, the air. Here is a little, I want to say, crystal point or the arrowhead on the quill or the feather, which shows the possibility to use it for writing, creating. The feather is not straight, it is flowing like in the air, or like the air itself. And the god is holding it, not actually touching, but it is in his hands or in his bioenergies. You can move things with your hands, and for me it calls to make the idea happen, as the ace is something new, some kind of new initiation, initiating something, creating something. And I even want to say that the same plant, which I don't know which plant it is on his shoulders. So you can see the elements used in here. We should look the aces, maybe different in a different video, side by side, to actually make a whole picture, because the aces in this deck, or the gods, are so much like out of the box or different. So the two of plumes, the crescent moon with feathers, and all of the twos in this deck have the infinity sign on them, making the power of two, the choices, the one added idea, one added element to the equation. Like, this is ongoing work all the time. We have to make choices. We have to choose paths. We have to choose words. And the moon, nothing else is shown from the Rider-Waite card. For me, the actual dark side being shown here, not only the moon's light visible side, but the side that we don't see, is talking about this blindfold. We don't see actually majority of the thing. We see only part of it, but we know the hidden side is still there. We have to like envision it without seeing it. And the blindfold for me is the same value, has the same value on this card as the dark side in here. And the wings, the feathers or the plumes, show the actual balance. This is not out of balance, and this is not out of balance. Yet we have to choose something that we can't see, but we know it's there, and therefore we have to like make the choice from within, not using the visual part. To make the decision. This is how I see it. I'm not sure yet how to the flight. It's actually not flight. The wings are not in the flight position but in the resting position, which also tells us to take the time out to tap into this unseen or the not visible part of the question. This is pretty same, I want to say. The beautifully detailed heart is like not this artsy heart, but actual heart, and it's not bleeding. The places the arrows are pierced through are not bleeding. They are just like here, nothing is bleeding, it's gone through already, and you have to adjust yourself and heal the wounds around it to work. And you have to, this sword you can pull out, it's painful but you can do it. The arrows you can't, you have to break them or adjust living with them, because this way up they would hurt and rip out more. So this card tells me about not trying to remove the pain maker, but learn to live with it, adjust yourself around it, so to speak, and let it be part of your being, because they are part of your experience, so to speak. Don't try to just force them out, or don't try to remove them, because the experience you got from the situation is now part of you. Something like that. So in here you can see the Rider-Waite depiction of getting rest, not in the battle. I need to maybe take the time off. This bird is falling. This bird is not laying on the ground with this position. The birds actually may get tired from flying if they are not knowing their limits or feeling their limits, and they can fall from the sky like this because of exhaustion, being exhausted, or being on the flight too long, like they need their rest. And this card shows that the bird has overdone their flying time. They have been up in the air for too long, and maybe it's a cramp. Is this a word in English even? When your muscles are getting like cramped up, I think it's a word in English. So they just fall from the sky, and they are forced to, losing some feathers on the way. And so you can see the need for the rest. Here the resting has already started, and this shows that you have overworked, you have been overthinking, overdoing, and you will be burning out if you're not going to be taking the rest. You will fall from your dominion because of that, and you will lose some essential to you, maybe, things, unless you are not. This is like a little bit warning, but also in a reading can show that the person has been overdoing already and is in the middle of taking this fall. So, 5 of Plumes or 5 of Swords. Since, is it this blue jay, I think? I had to look it up. They are not native around here, so I don't know anything about these species and how they live, how they act. So I had to Google and found out that they are a little bit omnivores, which means they can actually ravage the nests of other birds. So what tells about the being overly confident or overly pride in what you have accomplished, or taking the loss and the shame and everything? What's in here that tells me about this is you can see 2 not yet eaten or broken eggs, and 3 are broken. If this is the nest of himself, then it's a little bit like karma. While he was maybe doing it for someone else's eggs, someone has taken toll from his own nest. And the third eye here is telling about now seeing it, that what you do to others may come back to you one day. Although everything is not lost yet, but is it worth it? You left your nest to go try to harm someone else's nest, and came back to actually getting the same that you have done to others. But if it's someone else's nest and he's just in the middle of eating, then it's more like is he leaving these 2, or is he going to take everything, like leaving the total destruction behind? And maybe he's just opening the eye and now seeing that the greed doesn't have to be like all empowering. Actually, my stomach is full and I don't have to take everything. It's like has a little bit more in it than this card, but tells the same story for me. Six of Plumes. This is pretty self-explanatory. The movement away, the feathers that has been left behind shows the struggle from getting here to here, the rough waters, so to speak. Now he's away from the danger, but had to leave something behind. Like in here, you can't see any items with the people in the. They had to leave something behind. They had to let go of some things in order to move forward, in order to get to the hoped land or hoped calmness of the waters. And again, two eyes, not the third eye, but the two eyes signifies the extra vision that has been obtained from this experience. That even if we leave behind the hard waters, so to speak, or hard experiences, the need to remember this and need to be aware of and thankful of the, again, not only the fact that we are in the safe zone, but the fact that we got through this and the knowledge we got from the experience, and try to not to make the same mistake again. So this is beautifully shown. The Seven of Plumes. Here you can see the thief, so to speak, and I want to say they are pearls or something valuable, let's say, and he has one in his peak, so he has taken something. Some of these birds, this is the crow, I think, the magpies and crows as well, are liking the shiny objects, and they are actually gathering those into their nests, or they sometimes have this tree hollow place where they keep their treasures, and they are picking up from buttons to bolts to everything that seems interesting to them, and they just can even steal a spoon or something they can carry, and they actually don't have anything to do with it, practical use or something. They just like those things and they take them. So this is like showing the, and the arrow probably as well, like stolen, or the stolen idea, stolen or sneakily taken from someone or somewhere. The sky here is as well like taking something that is not his and sneaking away with those. But this card always tells me about maybe he's just removing, as these are the war tents, and you can see people around the bonfire taking a break from the war path or whatever they are going for, and the sky is just removing their fighting tools. So sometimes if you remove the ill making ideas or words, it is maybe better for everyone, and you can be spared or have an extra time. So this is this card as well for me, not only the deception or the sneakiness, but in here I mostly see the unnecessary sneakiness, that you are just doing something or taking something that you actually don't have use for, but you are taking this anyway because you can, or because you, I don't know, want this. And but also maybe removing the weapon from the opponent, so they can't shoot you with this arrow and make you killed. 8 of Swords, or 8 of Plumes. Not sure how this is called in English, but it is for carrying the arrows. And one of the arrows is like pierced through it, which makes probably getting these out of here much more harder, because they are now mangled in there, I want to say. The binding of the existing tools or ideas, something has gone wrong and you have to break this to get those loose, or to even use this thing or carry this. So talking about, if all the deck, as we have seen, is not about humans but not about animals, this is the tool for killing the animals. So it has been like you have shot yourself in the leg, which is this card. You have totally shot yourself in the leg with this one. You are making harm for yourself with your thoughts or your actions that are actually unnecessary, and you have been like binding yourself into the stuck thought forms or some things that are holding you back without actually holding you back, because you can like break loose, and for this you have to break this arrow to get the tools loose. Now 9 of Swords, or 9 of Plumes. This one I had struggles with. The barn owl, I think it is. It doesn't speak about the self-inflicted pain or the fears or the nightmares, because how the cute owls can do that, but the way they are like staring at me or at us is not natural. They are in the cluster of faces only, and they are like looking at us in a not so pleasant way, I want to say. So you can like draw something from there. Also, being a creatures or birds of the darkness, you can see dark in here, and the third eye again shows that everything is in our own mind, and the lesson to be learned from this misery, I want to say, is a huge step towards self-development and all things that follow when you are able to get out of this situation, which is mostly in your head. Also, as the death card, the owls have been the bringers of bad news, or the messengers of death, and the messengers of unfortunate things and all that. So there's a little bit of that in here for me as well. So as it's all in our head, the clusterfuck, I want to say. So this is actually making sense a little bit. So, and here pretty much the same, although now we see the swords are like pinning you down, and this is the end of all things. Dead. So it's the same. The sad end of this, whatever is asked or is at hand. I read somewhere that this card is like more sad to look at than this card. Agreed, because the swords are a creation of human being, and to be killed by the things that others or yourself have made actually or created is less on how is this word now, not balanced, but less unfair. But arrows are not made by birds or animals, and to be pierced by arrows, there's a human hands in play. And the irony in here with the swords, self-made, with the feathers on the arrows, is much harder in this card than in this one. Now for the courts. Page of Plumes, Page of Swords. Since most of these birds depicted are not any species that I know of that are common around here, I'm not sure. I want to say it's a cuckoo bird. But it's probably not. And the chords are the most, I want to say, hardest cards for me to make any connections with the Rider-Waite itself. So let's try the not yet butterfly, or it's not maggot, it's the caterpillar or something. Shows the not yet fulfilled, like the page is yet not king. So the caterpillar is on the way to be the butterfly, but not yet. So this one, and I hope I would know how this particular species of bird is actually making sense with the readiness and the things that the Rider-Waite system suggests. And this is the crossed arrows, a little bit of hint to the twos, the limitation, or the limited thinking of things shows a little bit here. But to actually more understand about this, there's a need to know which species is this, at least for me. But the second eye, the second pair of eyes for me here is like the original one, and the little one is below, which again shows the just developing the extra seeing. It's already there, but it's small. It hasn't yet fully developed, and he can see, but not everything yet, maybe. Now for the Knight of Plumes, or the Knight of Swords. Here you can see the worm. The caterpillar is already full-blown butterfly. Butterfly being flying around, being beautiful, eating, getting ready for the next stage. Which is again the new circle. But I'm surprised a little bit. I would have been expected that the butterfly would be in the king and maybe queen. The cocoon would have been better for the page, the caterpillar for here, so the development of the court, so to speak. But again, this is this heron. I'm not sure about the species, but again you can see the extra eye is like smaller, but in king it's full size. In queen as well, I want to say it's a little bit smaller, but in here it's significantly smaller. The same thing that, but all the movement, the rapid acting, thinking is not coming through with the scarf for me. So the chords are the cards I am struggling with the most in this deck. So Queen of Plumes, again I don't know who is this bird. Butterfly, fully grown, so to speak, and the moons are somewhat not speaking about the King of the Queen of Swords for me. I'm thinking to understand this I have to understand how these actual species are acting in the nature. What are their traits or their main way of life, so to speak. But what I see here is that the full moon from between here is out of balance. It's up here. It's like the full understanding or full circle is disrupted with or out of focus because of this arrow being in the middle. The sharp thinking, these sharp words, the everything that the Queen of Swords is for me. But yeah, otherwise I'm having a little bit of troubles. Now, for the King of Plumes or the King of Swords, I initially thought it is the second peak, but it looks like the furry, or it's not peak at all. Again, I don't know what type of bird this is. But interestingly, look at the position of the moons and the arrow. This is pointing down to the core or the inner, and this is pointing to the outer. But the moons are facing the different directions. And here you can see the moon and the sun. So being more in the light, and this is being more in the intuition or the inner, like feminine side of the suit or of the king and queen. So yeah, again, without knowledge about the actual bird, it is pretty hard to read it. You can just imagine all these traits to this, but it does have more, and for this I have to explore some more to understand more about the depth of this meaning or the card. So this was the suit of swords or suit of plumes of the wooden tarot. Thank you for watching, and we will meet again with the suit of staves or the stones in the wooden tarot deck. Thank you for watching, and bye!